Space. The final frontier.
Hey.
Is space the final frontier?
I actually believe that phrase kind of sells the whole concept short.
Yeah, because it's like
Jason Statham is the best Luke Picard.
Right into it. Like it's like it's been literally 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Back to the point I was making. When you say that space itself is the final frontier, like, you can't call it the final frontier. No. Getting to space is like step one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also, like, I just feel like there's other things. Okay, there's an interesting. Have any of you guys read Superman Red Sun? I know Dan has. But have you, Ricardo?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the ending of Superman Red Sun, where like they go through Lex Luthor's like ancestors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like they are basically they do crazy science shit, and one of them is like a time traveler. One of them ends up like a necronaut, which is, I guess, someone who
fucks the dead in space.
It's a very, very difficult and specific fetish to satisfy. You have to throw the dead guy into space, then go to space.
Yeah.
Then you fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it implies that there's like the afterlife. They're, whatever. And
is
it's
this
like
Among Us fan fiction?
Well, it's just I just feel like there is the final frontier must be something we don't even know about yet. So it's like, I don't know.
It's presumptuous to assume we'll ever find a final frontier.
I know what the final frontier is.
All right, go for it.
The final frontier, and once you hear my theory, you're going to back me up on this.
Okay.
Is we have to go beyond toilet paper. Why are we still stuck with toilet paper? The final frontier is what we don't know is coming towards us. The 3 seashells? I don't know.
I was just about to say, like, you just invited every bidet user to come at you.
I know, but here's the thing: is there's gotta be something better, something better than the bidet that we don't know about.
Did you ever see that diagram that explains how the 3 seashells work?
Yeah, but I think we've talked about this in earlier episodes. There's got to be something that just vaporizes your poop from the inside.
Oh yeah. I like the dream.
That's the final frontier.
Is it just transports away, right?
Yeah,
from inside your bowels.
Not by Jason Statham. He's
no. Oh my god, he would fist your ass to pull it out. Yeah, that's not something you want.
Oh fuck you, Mike.
Literally,
I just want a completely efficient physical form that uses everything it intakes.
There's no waste.
No waste.
All matter is perfectly converted to energy.
Yeah, broken down to its subatomic particles and repurposed correctly.
Oh man, that's
the real dream.
There's no waste at all. It's all just perfect.
Oh, that whole like energy being future where we're all in the computers.
Yeah, dude.
Welcome to Newbie Star Trek, everyone.
Welcome to Newbie Star Trek, which is. Funnily enough, I found out this morning the 119th rated TV reviews podcast in Canada.
Hey. So, yeah, dude. Yeah,
bro. It was 120th.
Is there
such a random?
Is there a Canadian type of? Is there a Canadian that we know of, like that his ancestors come from Canada character in Star Trek? Because Luke Picard you can trace him back to like, well, he's got French background and
maybe he's just Quebecois.
Oh yeah, maybe. That's why his accent's so fucked up because he's
but he's proud of being French though.
Yeah, and he literally lives in French vineyards,
and vice versa.
His family literally owns vineyards in France and shit.
Oh, right. Yeah, and when he saw his mom when he was hallucinating that one time, she didn't have any poutine on her.
That's true. On her,
yeah.
Like
as all Quebecois do.
What's up?
I'm sad we don't know what the 120th is because I wanted to tell them to suck it.
Yeah.
It was such a funny random fact I got in an email this morning. I was like, okay,
it's hilarious that they sent you an email about it. It's like, hey, congrats, buddies. Like,
hey, you guys were 120th, but now you guys are rising up.
Well, I mean, if you guys you've been listening, you've been enjoying the podcast, feel free to give us a review at Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict. I think those are the two places where reviews really matter.
And many
But
thanks to a couple of fairly recent reviews that are
thank you.
very nice reviews. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys
It also helps us like know if we're on the right track or not with what we're doing.
do you think I would fucking change if we were on the wrong track? Do you think I would change? I would just get higher.
It's true. This Ricardo
Statham
guy.
knob is infinite. It doesn't go up to 11. It just goes up to Statham.
See, I think of it as a Statham lever, like the Walker Texas Ranger lever.
That might be a little better. Yeah.
From
You mean the Jason Statham multiverse?
Yeah, it just brings in different versions.
Yeah.
Of the Statham. They're transported in.
Yeah.
If you get my drift.
Oh, we get it. Oh, yeah, we get it.
This episode was coming of age. I remember this as a Wesley Crusher episode, so I think that's why last week I had a pretty negative opinion of it, and then I watched it, and again, it's an episode I didn't remember very well, and it's pretty good.
I liked it.
Yeah, this is pretty good. It has a weird B plot, but
it's a B plot that actually has some payoff, though.
Yes, the setup is strange. This is a weird setup for it, but it's interesting nevertheless. Anyway, Coming of Age first aired in March 14th of 1988, and Dan,
Pi Day.
if you could. Oh, Pi! It's true. That's Pi Day. Dan, if you could give us a slice of what happened that day.
Oh, my mind. Anyway.
Picard. That's Picard.
Well, I think we must have slingshot around a star or something because we've time traveled. Because what took 1 week in our time took 3 weeks in 1988 time. You'll notice that this episode aired 3 weeks after the previous. Yeah, so there's a brief break in new premieres at the time. But by this time, on Pi Day, 1988, you can pour one out for the end of Good Morning Vietnam's 9-weekend streak at the top of the box office.
Damn.
9 damn weekends. No movie does that no more.
Except, actually, no. Like Avengers was there for months.
Okay, yeah, you know what? You're totally right.
Avatar was literally like a year. Yeah. Right?
Oh, but how old is Avatar now?
In Na'vi or
Theater?
Yeah. It's so weird that
it's not old enough.
Grab people.
Yeah.
And Endgame, like Infinity War and Endgame, those destroyed. So
I almost want to call those outliers just because of how big those particular releases were.
I guess sleeper releases being that popular are very rare. Because Good Morning Vietnam, no one actually expected.
Yeah,
it
that
to
wasn't
succeed.
like a 10-year culmination of intertwined movies.
Yeah, it wasn't event driven. It was a surprise because
The only reason a sensation.
And the only reason the movie was even made was because Robin Williams himself pushed for it, even though he had lost a lot of slack because of that fucking Popeye movie. So.
Right. But we've gone over that.
Yeah, that's true.
Going on, RC Pro-Am, the third Nintendo game developed by Rare, where you direct a remote control car and isometric view to race around track and tackle the cars with bombs and stuff, released on the system to some critical acclaim, some of which was directed at the music of Mr. David Wise, famous Rare composer. He did amazing shit like this. Listen to that. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Goddamn, dude.
Anyway, and this would also be one of 2 weeks where Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up" was the top of the Billboard's Top 100.
Oh, excellent.
So we are in prime "Never Gonna Give You Up" territory here, guys.
This is the Astley multiverse.
Yeah, this is Astley's time.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like it's people view it as a joke song, but people legitimately love that song.
It's a good song.
I actually like this. There's songs that people find like ironically fun that I kind of enjoy just in general, like All Star.
Yeah,
I enjoy All Star. I enjoy good montage at the end of a movie.
Almost every song that became a meme was originally pretty catchy anyway.
Yeah.
Just saying. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's the end of my history.
Excellent. Well,
I thought we
I
had
need to
an
have a
outro song.
concluding noise or something.
okay,
Ba-dum-bump.
I'll just have the laser suck back in. Goes. Like
Oh.
that'll be what it is. But anyway, coming of age. We watched a Wesley centric episode, and Ricardo,
Yes.
if you could
I'm here.
step through the plot for us and let us know what you think about the show, about the episode.
So I was prepared to hate this episode because you prepped me and you said
I did this accidentally before too. I've done this at least twice.
Well, it's good. I think it's good because I want to go into these when I watch them with like a blank slate. I also try not to rewind at all. I try to watch the episode as someone would in that year, which is like, oh, you just watch it. There's commercials and you just watch it, and there's no TiVo, you just watch it all the way through.
Right.
And the only time I'll review it again is while we're doing this episode. I'll have it playing in the background just as a refresher, but I'm not allowed to rewind it. Those are my weird rules. I don't know, maybe I'm just too high to figure out how to rewind it.
The listeners will know when you rewound, and they'll be like, what the fuck? What a fraud.
Yeah.
This fucking Ricardo.
It's way too much detail.
Yeah. Bitches.
His knowledge of the show is too accurate.
He didn't call anybody an electrolyte this episode.
Yeah, he used all of their real names. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh man, this episode's names are really difficult.
yeah. So the episode starts off, and you were immediately. I was like, oh fuck, here we go, fucking Wesley, dude. And Wesley's chasing this dude, Jake Paul. And Jake Paul, I don't know, that's who he reminds me of, that bitch ass fool from YouTube, Jake Paul.
Oh man.
So
wait, isn't that Logan Paul?
Logan Paul.
There's two of them. I can't tell them apart. They both look like
I think
fools.
They're brothers, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Then never mind.
Or the same person. I've never seen them in the same place at the same time. So bitch ass Jake Paul, he's like, hey Wesley, he's sad. He's got a mullet. He's like, oh god damn. And Wesley, it's weird because in this episode he looks a bit grown up.
I think he did grow up a little bit,
right?
I mean, he is like, still young. Like he would have still been growing as the show was going on. It's an interesting opening too. Like it feels like you started in the middle of an episode because it just cuts straight to a close up.
And I think this episode had interesting camera work, and so I noticed that Wesley looked a little different. I don't know if he like had a growth spurt or like they cut his hair differently.
He actually had a slightly different haircut.
That's it, right?
Funny.
Yeah.
It's like
you'll actually notice it throughout even like this first season. Like every once in a while, different actors will have slightly different just haircuts. Like you notice with Jordy sometimes, like his hair is slightly different because it's like they just TV. They just gotta keep going.
And so old Wesley Crusher, he's getting called by the intercom, and Jake Paul's very upset. He's like, "Ah, fuck," and he's like, "I'm sorry, Jake." And it looks like he beat him out on some sort of test. Like we in the beginning of the episode, we don't know yet. We're like, "What's going on?" And he seems a little bummed out because he didn't pass his test. And I guess the test was to get sent to take another test. It was a test for a test. There's a lot of tests in this goddamn episode,
and it's. We'll get into it, but just the way these series of tests lead into like enrolling in Starfleet Academy is they're fucking weird.
It's almost, isn't it almost like Arrested Development? And that's why you don't teach lessons.
A little bit.
I mean, it's like a immoral experiment. It's like the Stanford prison experiment,
a little bit like that's what it all culminates in. But just the general structure of this is kind of crazy. It's like you test to test, and then once you get your finalists, they only select one, even though they keep telling every single finalist any one of you would be a great cadet. And it's like, how does Starfleet gain like any ranks of people? Because like, how can you be this picky?
Yeah. And also, it's like the things they're testing them on, it's like genius level science stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you see some people who are officers, and you're like, he wouldn't know that.
Exactly.
Like, Wesley barely knew that. Why would you know that?
Yeah.
And Wesley's supposed to be a genius. So
they make this big show of like every candidate was like, oh my god, you're the one who invented the U maneuver, or the you know, it's like Jesus.
Like fucking Worf is an officer from Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Worf isn't gonna be like, oh yes, I know exactly how to do this positronic bullshit. It's like Worf is a big, like, tough guy. That's his job. Like,
they gave him the Donkey Kong test. He had to like break barrels.
Oh man, you don't know how right you are. You don't know how accurate you are. Oh man,
Worf has some history with barrels.
Oh man, I can't wait to get to that episode.
No. I'd say that Worf and other like big burly guys like him, they like get in through like the athlete scholarship.
Yeah.
Or maybe because he was I think he's like one of the first Klingons to ever go through Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, I think they make a big deal of that. Like,
yeah, so maybe they were like, he did fine enough for, because Klingons are like mostly stupid, like because they're a warrior race, like they don't really like care about science, and the Klingons that do care about science are like ostracized from society.
To kill them.
Wait, does that mean that they steal all their tech? Is that
it's not well explained. Like
damn it,
they have warp technology somehow, right?
Yeah,
but
they can transport.
They hate science, and they're warriors.
But they like to party.
They're like a race that doesn't make any sense. So maybe they were just like, he's smart enough for a Klingon. Let's bring him on.
One more thing about this testing stuff, or this like cadet fielding process. When a Vulcan sees Wesley, she's all, you don't look like you meet the age requirements, but it's like everyone is of a different species with different rates of
true.
Like maturation. So it's like, why would you?
Old fucking Murdoch looks like he's fucking like in his 40s, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that's why Wesley was like, aren't you already at Starfleet?
He's like, no, I'm pretty stupid.
No, I put it off for 4 decades.
I spent 2 decades coming up with the Murdoch strategy. It's so hilarious how it's like, the Murdoch who created the Murdoch strategy?
And it's like, and then what is the Murdoch strategy? Tell us. What is it?
First, you gotta be Murdoch.
Well, what you don't know
you gotta
is
strategize.
that Murdoch thing, it's a sex maneuver.
I knew you were gonna say.
God damn it, Ricardo.
Did you notice none of the adults knew what he was talking about? Only like it's like gene jamming.
It's like only the kids know, right?
Yeah,
the kids
it's like second base. It's like second base. It's like it's really how to get like a lady's bra off.
It's like 2.5 base. He created an extra base in between.
Yeah.
You're just making me imagine Wesley like, you're the Murdoch who created the Murdoch strategy on Urban Dictionary?
Or know your meme?
It's like it's like the maneuver is how to get like a young woman's bra off with her uniform on. Do you know what I mean?
In one smooth motion.
Yeah. It's
and he has to do it while he has that fucking like asthma inhaler in front of him at all times, right?
So that's why it's so impressive.
Yeah.
When you got like a toothbrush in your way, like you gotta improvise.
Oh boy, we ran off the rails.
No. This is where we live.
Starfleet Academy.
So Wesley is gonna get dropped off at this testing site, and then the B plot starts as well. But first of all, Picard, Riker, and his mom, Dr. Beverly Crusher, are off to see him. In the transporter room, off to the side, which you can't see in this episode, is Jason Statham. He's punching the number. He's like, "Oh, I'll send this boy down to test," and he sends him down, and at the same time, because I'm like, "Oh, that's a big send off." Like Picard's there too, but you realize that not only is Wesley going to get dropped off, but this fucking admiral, another old white dude, he's going to join. He's gonna come on board with his other white dude, and so I don't know their names, so I'm going to call him Admiral old dude, and his sidekick. They're all red shirts. You can't tell them apart.
It's Admiral Quinn and Dexter Remick.
Okay, so
Lieutenant
you have
Remick.
Dexter is like he's like a mousy little like investigator.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah, and
Like they try to paint him as like a young guy, but he looks way too old to be a young guy.
Who's Admiral Akbar? What's his name?
Quinn.
Anthony Quinn. So Anthony Quinn's in this fucking movie, and he's like, hey, and Anthony Quinn and Luc Picard, they're old friends, and like Picard. It's funny for being old friends. Like they're not really like, dude, what's up, Anthony? It's been so fucking long, and like like an embrace. It's just like, hey, what's up? And Dexter immediately looks like a fucking fool, dude, and he's a real tight ass dude.
He looks like the definition of a tool.
Yeah.
Like someone who's like a toadie who's just following his superior officer to like, oh yes, sir, I'll suck your dick if you ask me to, like type of thing.
Even if you don't.
Even if you don't, I'm ready to suck your dick at all times.
Yeah. And so Dexter's like, hey, I'm not doing any killing, but I'm doing some investigating. And the Admiral's like, oh, I'm gonna stay on board until this investigation's through. And like Picard's like, what the fuck's going on? What investigation? And I hate this fucking thing where they're like, we can't tell you. Yeah. Well, how long is it going to take? We can't tell you that either.
We can't tell you anything.
What are you investigating? We can't tell you. Well, how can I help you investigate, you piece of shit, if I don't know what you're investigating? It's really this is really, really frustrating part of the
just
the
cooperate,
episode.
old friend.
He's also like he's an admiral, so instantly you're like, okay.
Yeah, there's never been an admiral that brought good news.
So probably villain. And then at that point, Picard should like contact Starfleet and be like, is he really allowed to do this? Like, what's like?
Yeah,
they just take his word for it.
I know, like, and there's no like, hey, here's the paperwork for for this investigation. There's no. It feels like there's no paper trail. Like
no, it's being done really, really hush hush. And
yeah. I don't like that. Yeah. So their admiral's like, hey, you're gonna be investigated, and he's like, for what? Don't know, can't tell you, and we'll discuss this when it's over. And so old fucking Dexter gets going, and I don't like him already. And so we go back to the A storyline, and Wesley arrives in this red planet. I don't know what it's called, Red 3 or something. I'm gonna call it Red.
Velara,
sure.
7 something.
Sure.
It's Relva.
Relva
7. So like I guess it's very nice of Picard to take the Enterprise all the way over to Relva 7 just to make sure that Wesley can take his test. It's very nice of him.
Well, it makes sense. He wants to get rid of him.
Well, like ostensibly, shouldn't there be many academies or places in which they could test? Like,
all over the place.
I don't know.
So
and why isn't any of those on Earth?
Well, there's a lot of things they don't want to do. Like most things, they actually just don't like the what's it called, the shipyards where they make all of the starships for Starfleet. It's actually in
Ohio.
Oh, it's an orbit around Mars. So like they actually like separate everything out quite a bit for some reason.
Okay,
that's weird. So anyway, so this old Wesley, he's at this testing center, and this young woman comes in, and I don't know her name. What is her name?
Oleana.
Sure. Oleana, close enough. And she's like, hey, you must be Wesley. Like she knows him, right? My name's my name's Oli, and she's the other finalist. She's another humanoid, and she knows him. And he's immediately he's like, oh fuck yeah, dude! Like you could tell as long as he's like, you know me. And he's like, yeah, I heard you're a very smart young man. And he's in love, dude. This guy would cheat for her. This guy would slip her the answers immediately. I'm like, my first thought for this episode was like, she's gonna take advantage of him, and because he's such a fucking dope. Yeah, and that's gonna, or like she's gonna be one of the tests. That's what I thought. Okay. And then you see another person come in, and this other person is a
Vulcan.
Vulcan, yes, a Vulcan lady.
Is it the first Vulcan character we've seen on the show?
Maybe not, but perhaps the first one to speak more than one line.
It's the first one I noticed, so I was just like,
true.
"Oh, there's a Vulcan finally." Also, before when Oleana she goes, "Oh, I knew about you, Wesley. I heard you're a very smart, very young man." If you look at the scene, she like glances down. So it's either at his hands because his hands are baby soft because he's still a child, or it's at his dick.
We don't know. We don't know.
Or both.
He's gonna try the Heimlich maneuver or whatever it's called.
We don't know how old Oleana is, but yeah.
But Wesley's only 15, so
true.
And it's funny that like all these people all these people that are taking the test, Wesley Crusher excluded, they all are in the business in different aspects of the business, meaning the entertainment industry. So Oleana, she is a visual effects supervisor, and she's like, so she works on Team America, Pleasantville. Like she's pretty successful.
Oh, like in modern times, she went to work on other things.
Yeah,
okay,
she went on. She left acting and she went on to work as a visual effects.
Oh, that's really
artist,
interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were just profiling the characters and casting them as like.
It'd be great if they all went on to work in like Star Trek universe's entertainment industry.
No. And then the Vulcan lady is the voice of Poison Ivy in the Batman games.
Batman games?
Okay.
Yeah, the like Batman Asylum, Batman
do you know
Knight.
the name?
Her name is Tasia Valenza.
It's vaguely familiar. Okay, I never placed a face to that. So, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And then lastly, they're joined by was it
Mordok? That's the name I remember.
Yes, Mordok. Mordok is this I don't know his race, but he needs like a little like breather to breathe in air.
He's a benzite?
Benzite, yeah. And he's got like a EDM like breathing thing that's got like RGB like lighting, and it's really crazy, and like there's weird like dry ice smoke coming out of it.
Harmonica mount.
Yeah. he auto-tunes sings everything.
Yeah.
Hello, Wesley.
Very good.
He sounds like the last Kanye album, and so he says Wesley's impressed. He's like, Mordok, the Mordok? You invented the Mordok maneuver? And he's like, yeah, I did. That's why I only have 4 fingers. He didn't say that. I just made that up. But it feels like Mordok is like cool. Like he doesn't seem like he's like, yeah, I built it. So like he's very like, it seems like he's humble. But was it me or did I notice like he had the Cesar Romero thing going where the actor had the mustache under the makeup, or was it just me that it was more makeup underneath it? I don't know.
It looked like he had like fangs come out of his nose or something.
He has like additional little flappy flaps underneath like an overlip.
Yeah.
I think they just put a lot of skin flaps on his face and then call it a day. And
okay.
That's what a benzite is.
And this actor went on to direct to be a TV director. He's directed Cougar Town, Blackish. He's directed a bunch of TV stuff that you would know. He even directed he directed the pilot to Rush Hour, the TV show that never went anywhere. He directed the 2-part pilot. So all these people coincidentally,
but then Will Wheaton went on to.
Such a shame that show never got off the ground. Such a shame.
Yeah.
Well.
What else did Will Wheaton do?
Exactly. That's why I stopped.
Yeah. That's right.
He's technically done stuff. It's just like it's such an unremarkable career after.
You think it was because of Wesley Crusher?
Oh yeah, that followed him his whole life.
Really? That's
like there's no way to. It's like how like
he's probably the best. Like he could have ended up like what's his face, who was Anakin when he was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Because his life was really ruined. His life was fucking ruined.
Even like Haley Joel Osment got kind of fucked up
a little bit.
Like, yeah,
but at least he gets to be Sora in any Kingdom Hearts game he wants.
Oh, that's always kind of sweet to know.
Yeah, good for you.
That
Haley.
He voices such a beloved character.
Yeah, people want him back every time.
Yeah.
And then, so we get back to the B plot line, and old Dexter's like typing on his fucking iPad a bunch of notes, and he's kind of going and seeing like the day-to-day stuff with like with Geordi, and then eventually excuse me, and eventually Riker shows up and he's like, "Hey, can I help you like with something?" And fucking I hate this mousy guy. And the mousy guy's like, when I want to speak to you,
intentionally so annoying and such an asshole.
They make him come off as like extremely like strangely prejudiced in his interactions with everyone. Like he has this like presumption that everyone is like doing something wrong, or like that seems to be like his attitude all the time.
Yeah.
Even though by the end of it, it doesn't seem like he should have.
No. He presumes everybody's guilty.
But he also has like a curly phone case, like a red one.
Yeah.
That's what it kept looking like to me. It's like, and it even has like that flap, that obnoxious like flap.
Yeah.
Used to cover your screen.
And Riker's like, "Can I help you with something?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll need to talk to you later in private."
Oh.
And I don't like that. And so Riker goes to see Picard, and Picard's like, "Hey, what's going on? What's up with this fucking bitch ass fool?" And Picard's like, "Dude, he's just doing his job. I don't know." And Riker's like, "So what is he investigating?" And he's like, I don't know what he's doing." And Riker straight up asks him, he's like, "Dude, be real with me, dude. Or am I being investigated?
Am I in trouble?
Yeah, I'm in trouble. Like those girls, those videos of those girls playing the harmonica, totally illegal. Totally illegal."
Yeah. Did all of my sexual advances finally catch up to me? Like, or did enough women finally speak up and say,
I finally found out the name of that series of harp lady videos, and it's Queen of the Harpies.
Oh,
Number 15.
Harpies Uncensored. And so Picard's like, "Dude, I can't tell. I don't know. First of all, I don't know." And he's like, "If you did, would you tell me? Could you tell me?" And he's like, "No, bro, I can't tell you, dude. You're shit out of luck." And he's like, "God damn it, this is so frustrating. I want to punch the fucking wall, dude." And he's like, "Riker, this is exactly the type of behavior that I fucking love, dude."
That's why you're my number one. Yeah. Fucking love that fire.
Yeah. And then this caught my eye. I don't know why. So as he's leaving the ready room, where the fuck they're at, he leaves, and there's this extra with a really short skirt, and I'm like, why is she?
There's lots of extras with short skirts this episode.
They just show up.
I don't know why.
It's an official uniform of some kind.
She's not even wearing like an official uniform. I think she's just wearing a weird.
No, I think it's a official uniform. If you look at the original series, if you look at the original series uniforms for women, they were all wearing like dresses with short hems.
Yeah, right. You think they'd want maneuverability, like to fight if they need to, or to like.
Well, I mean,
you can't move your legs in pant legs.
I guess you're right.
Yeah,
it's better for kicking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
High kicking.
And also, remember, men have also worn skirts.
True. We see this later on today.
High kicking.
So back to the A storyline, and the testing has started. They've started the fucking SATs. And,
it reminded me of the GREs because they're at computer stations.
They just added like a Kaplan Institute.
Yeah, that's essentially what this is. This is like it's just like a really run of the mill testing institute, and then the Chinese guy. The Chinese guy reminded me, he's like doing like a George Takei impression or something.
Yeah, almost intentionally it feels like.
Because he's speaking very like clearly and deliberately. And
wait, but like, was the actor guy's name Robert Ito? Because if it's Ito, then he's actually a Japanese guy, even though he played a Chinese guy.
Yeah, because he introduced himself as Chang.
Yeah, so, I am TAC Chief Engineer Chang or something. You hear TAC and you're like, wait a minute, is that a name or a title?
Yeah, he was Robert. He is indeed Japanese. Why did they just not make him Japanese?
I don't know. Maybe he didn't.
It wouldn't have changed the fucking thing.
They're like, fuck it. And then so they're taking the test, and they're all on these computer stations, and they all finish basically at the same time. They finish the test, and they're going to take a break. And the Vulcan girl, she bolts out of there. She wants nothing to do with these people. But
she gives him a Wesley a comment though, because she failed because Wesley and Murdoch got it correct.
Yeah.
And then, but she couldn't get the answer in time. And then she was like, I wish I was as smart as you guys.
Yeah.
And Wesley's like, no, I have to study a lot to be good at this. And
Oh,
she's
you're talking about the humanoid girl.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the Vulcan girl.
Yeah, you were talking about the Vulcan.
Yeah, the Vulcan girl like bolts. She's like, fuck it, I'm out.
She basically talks once in the episode and basically does nothing ever again. So
but the human girl, she's like, she gives him a compliment like, hey, I wish you were smart as you. And then of course Wesley doesn't know how to talk to fucking humans. Have you noticed that everyone who likes him, they're not human? That weird pedophile wasn't human. And this Vulcan squid guy, he's not human either, and he likes him. So it says something about him. So the human girl's like, hey, yeah, I wish I was smart as you guys. And then Wesley's like, well, I have to study a lot to, blah, blah. And then, of course he fucks it up. And she's like, oh, Wesley, you fucking bitch ass. Now I'm not going to let you try the maneuver on me. And so
she does say, if you weren't so cute, you would be obnoxious.
Yeah.
But he's not cute, though, so he is obnoxious.
Yeah. She was lying.
Yeah.
Double
a liar.
Yeah. And so they're they go, I guess they go to lunch or something. I guess no, because Wesley ends up in the
they just say they're
holodeck.
done for the day or something.
So,
and then
so next is a series of interviews that old Dexter does with all the crew members.
Oh, that reminds
really cool.
me. We glossed over a moment of tension between Riker and Remick, where Remick's like, "Hey, I want to talk to you," and Riker's like, "Not now, Remick. I'm doing my duties late."
Oh yeah.
He yells at him so loudly.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I guess he had the right to. Like, he's like, just because you're investigating doesn't mean the fucking world stops, you fucking bitch ass fool.
Like, you got your job to do. I got mine, fucker.
Yeah. And so now, like, there's some really great camera work with all these questions that this Dexter dude's doing. Like, when they cut away to, like, the questioning, each time they cut back, it's usually a different crew member.
Well, before that, he interviews Riker, right, in the ready room.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, this is the first time in the history of Star Trek we see the Riker maneuver.
Yes,
which is Riker. Jonathan Frakes. I said this before in the podcast. His back is hurt.
Yeah,
so it's difficult for him to like stand perfectly straight and to also sit down normally.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he sits down, he has to like basically mount a chair like it's a horse.
Yeah.
So,
like from behind, like a saddle.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why he like. It's funny that the first time he does it, he's furious.
Yeah.
At this investigator guy.
I had forgotten
so it looks like a power move.
Yeah,
it looks like a power move.
It does. I had forgotten about this. I had forgotten about this fact, and I thought, man, I'm like, that's a baller move, dude.
Yeah,
it would have been cooler is if he would have flipped the chair and then like, so he's like straddling the chair backward. You know what I mean? Like, so when you put your arms on top of the,
which I think he does do sometimes in the series. In general,
a baller move, dude.
It was cool. I think it almost looked like he was being like, see, look how fucking tall I am.
Yeah.
Like
I will fucking kick you out of this fucking door, dude. You fucking bitch ass. So he starts questioning people about it kind of goes back to different things that they've experienced, different like missions, different stuff.
Which is really cool. All these callbacks.
In fact, that's something that you, Ricardo, I think in a previous episode actually mentioned. Like, why the hell isn't Starfleet coming down on this vessel for all the bullshit they've already gone through? And it's like,
that's what makes you think the investigation's about. It makes you think the investigation is like, oh my God, they're finally trying to figure out why the Enterprise is so fucked up.
Like, in a way, this almost feels like a season finale, like a recap of all their adventures thus far.
Yeah.
And it's like, let me tell you the ways you fucked up. And this is the first time that I know, that they show like a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're showing this laptop with all the captain's log.
Every single laptop is on a Lazy Susan.
Yeah. And so this is a series of interviews that Dexter does. So first he interviews Riker, then Geordi, as Geordi's performing all these duties, and he's trying to like he's always trying to frame things to make the captain look bad.
Yeah, he always has asked leading questions and loaded questions as well.
And he goes Riker, Geordi, Deanna Troi, and
Data,
and they're all well edited together.
And Beverly at the end.
And Beverly,
And it's cool with Data, especially because Data goes, "Yeah, I'm an android. I cannot lie. I'm telling you right now, you're wrong.
Well, that's so I'm gonna save that for later because that one was the last one he does.
The last one he does is Crusher, I think, actually, and Crusher's the one where he gets too personal.
Oh yeah,
and she's furious with him.
But the next thing you see is Wesley kind of like fucking moping around, looking at his PDA. And old. It looks like Worf was about to get busy with some ladies.
Yeah, probably.
Holodeck. And he's like, "Oh fuck." He's like, "Oh, you're here, boy. Shit."
And like, I disturbed you. I'll leave.
Yeah. And he's like, "No, I don't want to be alone." And this gets really. I was like, "Oh, where is this going?" and
Close the door.
Yeah. And he kind of just wanted someone to talk to. And he's talking about how he's worried about the psych test. And because he's afraid like what they're going to turn, basically they're going to turn his deepest fears into the test. Mm-hmm. So he's really scared about this. And Worf kind of, it's a really cool moment with Worf because you don't ever see them having a moment like
it's like
together.
Worf's cool, like it's his biggest character development so far. It's a really interesting conversation.
The very first time he's ever been able to like,
he's like a mentor.
Yeah, counsel someone.
It's an interesting scene. Like, there's several times throughout this episode where like Wesley talks to people and they give him advice, and like it's a real the title is very appropriate. It's very much coming of age. Like he gets his first. Is this his first encounter with like a girl that he's attracted to? Because it seems like
on screen.
He had the encounter with the naked girl in that fucking planet.
Oh right, but
he didn't want to fuck her. He was scared.
Yeah,
he was
Oleana. He was like, oh maybe
this is the time. Maybe we should go to that sexy planet.
Yeah. And then Worf's conversation is really interesting. So I actually pulled it so we can listen to it and talk about it.
How can they know what my deepest fear is when I don't?
By analyzing your psychological profile. They were very accurate about everyone I tested with, including myself.
You? I thought there was nothing that could frighten a Klingon warrior.
Only fools have no fear.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant. I'm asking too many personal questions.
It is very difficult for me to depend on anyone for anything, but especially for my life.
But on the Enterprise, you do that every day. Everyone depends on everyone else to protect them.
Yes.
So you overcame it?
No. It is still my enemy.
Dang.
I like that.
It's really cool. Dive into what makes Worf function. It's why it's part of why he's so uptight. Mm-hmm, it's part of why he always seems uncomfortable. It's because like we get more into this once we learn more about the Klingons and their culture, but like they're very much like super abrasive and like they're just a bunch of bros basically, right? Yeah. So it's like it's really difficult for him to like properly fit into something that's as like regimented and like based on trust that Starfleet is. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting thing for him to contend with, and it's cool.
And then next you see the whole crew's on the bridge and they're conducting Enterprise business, and all of a sudden the alarm goes off and they get an alert that there's an unauthorized person in the launch bay, and they've taken a shuttle. Someone's taken a shuttle, and it's Kirk Sutherland, and
the asshole.
Yeah, the Jake Paul dude from the beginning. And basically, he you find out that like he was picked. Wesley was picked over Jake Sutherland to go take the test. So he basically failed, and like he's got a lot of shame apparently.
Yeah,
which is weird for a white dude.
maybe is he like afraid his dad's gonna beat him up or something?
Yeah, like he's like so he's like, I'll tell my dad that I joined he's gonna go join some weird fucking truckers union.
Yeah, he's gonna be a trucker.
He's gonna
just remind me of something though.
I failed at joining the military, so I'll become a trucker now. Like it's
Wait, hold on before we get too far away from it. I just remember that at the beginning of the episode when Wesley's like trying to console him, he says only 32 points. Out of what? That's a lot of points.
Yeah. What if it's 40? Like 32 out of 40. That's a lot of points, my man.
Maybe it was like 1 million.
Okay, fine.
And he's only 32
Fine.
off.
Even if it's 100, like 32 out of 100.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You
Even
see,
on the SATs, like the difference between like a 1600 and like a 1550, it's still like a big enough difference that can make or break like college admissions. That's like I don't know
about anymore. I'm not sure SATs are as relevant as they used to be.
No. They're trying to like de-emphasize it because colleges are more and more realizing it's stupid.
There's an SAT one and then the second one, right? Am I crazy?
It keeps changing.
Okay.
So little backstory. I used to be an SAT instructor for
God.
Princeton University.
Here we go.
You've seen a lot of Mordocs in your time.
Yeah. And like the thing you eventually learn as an instructor is that the SAT, basically, like the whole point of the SAT is to get good at the SAT.
Yeah.
Not to learn how to.
I mean,
be a good
that's a
student.
dilemma that teachers have been contending with forever. It's like teach the test and not anything else.
Yeah.
Like, how like they used to have an essay portion? That's why the SATs went from 1600 to 2400 and then they went back to 1600 because they got rid of the essay. You know why they got rid of the essay? Because it turns out that the length of the essay correlates to your score.
Oh God!
All you have to do is just like not all. You can't just write gibberish.
Just ramble on.
But I mean,
you got to do it like Moby Dick, where you just got to talk like 5 chapters about the rope, not about the fucking whale.
No, literally, if you did that, as long as it was coherent, you would get a 5. Like we literally, we did like a fun, like a jokey thing. We printed out a bunch of actual essays because the Princeton, the essay, the College Board, whatever, they give examples of what's 5s and 4s and 3s and 2s and 1s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we printed them all out and we hung up them on a wall so we can't tell which one's which, right? And then we said, from a distance, can you tell which ones are the 5s, which ones are the 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s? And we basically got it in completely right from a distance just by seeing how much text there was.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's bullshit, dude. I think if I remember correctly, I got the money for the SATs, and I was going to take the SATs, and then I woke up late, and then I took the money and I went to Red Lobster.
Nice.
That's a much better use of your food, dude. Oh man, especially when they're having their endless shrimp.
Oh
man.
yeah, dude.
The shrimp.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
Oh.
And those sweet biscuits. If you like the taste of shrimp and steak and those sweet biscuits, head on over to Red Lobster. So then this Kirk Sutherland guy, he steals a shuttle.
Yeah.
And he's gonna join the truckers union
over in Cheddar Bay.
Yeah. And it's funny because like you start to see Dexter getting like there's a quick look of Dexter where he looks like scared, like, oh fuck, what's going on here? This is a real thing. I didn't think real things were happening. And
I've never experienced a real scenario before.
Yeah. And basically like Kirk Sutherland's gonna take off, and he's bolting, and the captain's very calm, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna figure this out. It's fine. And Kirk Sutherland's like, hey, tell my father that I'm sorry and I love him. And he's like, no, you come back and tell him yourself. It's fine, dude. Bring that ship back around at once. You know, and Kirk Sutherland's like, oh god. And then you quickly see that there's shit going wrong with the ship, and like some sort of doogly do is going
basically
wrong.
Jake instantly fucks up the shuttlecraft, which thus proving that he should never go to Starfleet.
Yeah. Proving that he's a failure. and the ship starts to head towards this planet, and it's gonna crash.
Yeah. And
so he's panicking. Fucking Kirk Sutherland's panicking, and he's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna crash this shit. I've lost power. No. And then Riker comes up, and he's like, everybody's cool, and they're like, hey, he's headed towards the planet, and he's gonna probably burn up on re-entry. and he has like 78 seconds to figure it out, and they can't do the tractor beam, and they can't teleport him out of there, and basically somebody says he's out of the transporter range, And the first thing I thought about was like, God damn it, they can't send in Jason Statham. Somewhere in the background, you see Jason Statham's like, oh, fuck.
Not even I can
say
the depths of space for that far.
He's out of my range, mate.
Yeah. And so we got to start pulling some fucking Statham drops, dude.
I'll just pull some Crank quotes and put them up.
And so old fucking Dexter is like, excuse me, I have you know that I want to remind you, you're responsible for this boy's life. And I'm like, dude, you think the cat doesn't know? You move out of the fucking way, dude. And even Captain Picard fucking yells at Dexter. He's like, either you're gonna help or you're gonna
all he does is waste precious time.
Yeah. He's just sitting there around like pointing fingers at people instead of helping, and it's just really obnoxious.
Yeah. And he basically tells the captain tells old fucking Dexter, hey, either get out of the fucking way and keep quiet, or I'm gonna have you fucking thrown out of here, dude, you fucking bitch. And right away Dexter's like, oh, I don't want to get thrown out. I'm gonna move out of the way. And so very calmly the captain like walks him through like figuring out how to like bounce off the atmosphere and come back very calmly, tells him to do these things and then jumpstart the car. He basically jumpstarts the car, puts it on second gear.
He
just jumps
it is definitely the equivalent of that.
He gets a little like speed by getting sucked into the atmosphere a little bit. And then he pops the clutch and then he takes off and he's out of range and he's great, dude. And you see how calm the captain can be and how he saved this boy's life. And even Riker's like, incredible, Captain. And Dexter's
that's why he's my captain.
Yeah, Dexter's
him so much.
Dexter's smiling and he's like, how did you do it? And Geordi like tells him like he just built enough speed to bounce off the atmosphere. And even Dexter's like, you could see Dexter's attitude change like right away. And so anyway, back to Wesley. Wesley and Murdoch are hanging out and they're walking down a hallway and they bump into this dude that he's like looking for directions. He's like, hey, where's the I have a package for operations. Where the fuck is operations? And Wesley's like, oh, down here. Down, room 104. I don't know how Wesley knows. He just showed up to this fucking place. But anyway, and then this big old tall dude just walks straight into Wesley. He fucking shoulder checks him. Boom. And then Wesley immediately goes, oh, excuse me. And he's being polite. And he's like, and then this big dude, he's like, dude, you're blocking my path, you fucking Bulgarian sludge rat. And he's like, whoa, no need for fucking name calling, my man. I apologize, dude. And then the whole Murdoch's like fucking frightened. He's like, oh fuck, someone's gonna get punched. I don't want to be here. And then Wesley's like, dude, it was an honest mistake. I apologize. And then the dude that's giving the test, what's his name?
Chang. Lieutenant Chang.
Yeah. Senor Chang. He rolls up and he's like, dude, what's up? What's going on? And Wesley's like, no, sir, nothing's a problem. And then the older dude's like, how dare you fucking bitch ass fool. And then clearly he has like webbed hands. It's very, very obvious.
Yeah. The big old honking webbed hand that he can barely move.
Yeah, he's got it looks like a bat in between his fucking hands, a flesh-colored bat. Yeah. And then he's like, Wesley looks down at him and looks at his hand. And he's like, you know what? Who do you think you're bullying, fucker? You bumped into me, you piece of shit, and you made the mistake. And if you don't walk out of here, I'm gonna get violent, my man.
Yeah,
he basically like fucking like stands up to him. Yeah. And the guy like gets a big old grin on his face, and he's like, friend. I like you. We are friends. I am from Bulgaria. And he walks away. And he's like, oh. And then old Murdoch's like, oh, very strange reaction. and Wesley's like, not really. He's like, see, when I saw him raise his hand, I saw that his hands were webbed, and it's a sign of being a Zeldian knight or something bullshit like that. And then Senor Chang's like, well, why did you become so like hostile? And he's like, oh, those Zeldians, they're infuriated by courtesy. Like you gotta talk down to those fuckers. Those fuckers only get off when you're talking shit about them.
They're ultra masochists.
Yeah. They just like to be talked down to.
Yeah.
And they're definitely subs.
Okay, the benevolent take is that they like to keep it real.
Yeah.
Bunch of Donald Trumps, dude. They just tell it like it is, bro.
The twist is that he was actually just a normal human with a mutated hand.
Yeah. That's a sub. And so Senor Chang's like, man, like you handle it fucking well, like that's cool. And then Mordoc's like, was this into deliberate? And basically he's like, hey, anything can be delivered here if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. And he's like, we wanted you to see how you deal with other species, basically. And not all tests are announced or what they appear to be. So then we see the final interview with Dexter and Data. And do you have this clip by any chance?
Oh, I don't have the clip.
You don't have, okay.
Specifically.
So basically he tells him like, hey, you're a universal soldier. You're an android. Tell me figure this out. Where are the anomalies in these captain reports? And he's like, there are no anomalies. Like everything is on there. If you want to look for something, it's there. It's very, very clearly labeled. The reports are all there. And he's like, no, there's got to be something that's wrong. And he's like, no, he basically says like, you're trying to look for something and really you're the one who's wrong, not us.
Yeah. You've approached this investigation with assumptions. Therefore, the only conclusion can be that your assumptions are wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we thought it was Data. I'm looking at this now, and there's this cool cut where he's interviewing Data, and then he turns the computer back around, and then when the scene cuts, so like there's really good cutting in this, really good editing. Because it goes Data, Dexter, and then when it goes back, when he turns back the screen and the reflection, it's Worf. Right? And he, it's really cool. It's really well done. I really dug it. And basically he's like, hey, like there's nothing wrong with the captain. You're fine. And then he interviews Beverly Crusher, and he basically like prods at her, and he's like, hey, he basically wants to turn the fact that Captain Picard was responsible for her husband's death against like her. Basically it's like, hey, you just tell me what he's done. Like it must be very infuriating to work under a person that is responsible for your husband's death. It's really well done, this scene. I haven't been, so I understand when I watch these episodes that I'm watching them through the prison of the late 80s, and I accept that. But there's some things that when you look at like pieces of cinema, whether it's from the 40s, the 50s, the stuff that stands out is because they're universal stories, and the themes and the mostly the themes are very universal, and they're still relevant.
Yeah.
Even and this is that type of writing that I like, where it's like, man, like the directing, the editing, it's very relevant, and I really enjoy this episode because of this. Because of the editing and the writing and the way like people are prodded, and it's really well done.
Yeah, and it's like
sticks out.
It, like despite the fact that the investigation is basically all a setup for like a different plot that's not in this episode. Like it's gonna be in a different episode, but like it's just interesting that it's what's otherwise kind of like a secondary or even tertiary like B story ends up being really well directed and interesting because of the way they're bringing up past events, and it's interesting that way.
Yeah.
And
there's all these nods to continuity that weren't really something the show had been doing a lot up till now.
Yeah. And every character, like when is interviewed, has their own way of respond. Like Geordi is interviewed, he's just flustered.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not like that, but that's his personality. It's great. Like Riker's angry, you know, and like Beverly Crusher is fine until she realizes she's trying to be manipulated personally.
Yeah.
And then she goes, don't you ever fucking bring that up again. Like you can tell she's about to like murder him.
Yeah, and
she never stops smiling, but she has a very good delivery of like, that's none of your fucking business, dude.
She basically says that. She's like, hey, my personal feelings towards the captain are none of your business, you fucking bitch ass. And it kind of weirdly like it goes towards my theory that he fucked Picard and not Geordi. Geordi might be Picard's son. That Wesley Crusher might be Picard's son. And then that scene again transitions into the scene where the final interview with Picard, and he's being prodded, and there's nothing that he gets from Picard.
Well, he makes that big accusation about the fuck planet with the with the Ito.
Yeah.
And they're like, so you directly broke the Prime Directive there. He's like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And then he makes the assertion, well, why did you go out of your way to save Wesley?
Yeah.
And then like keeps prodding.
He's like he's my son, dude. and it goes back to the test, and it's one of the last few tests before the psych test, and they're hacking the planet.
I don't know what this is.
They're hacking the planet.
It looks like 3D Jezball.
Yeah, Jezball. Oh damn, you got me, Marvin. That's a good one. Oh shit, Jezball.
Murdoch is like having a hard time, and then Wesley basically like coaches him through it. He's like, dude, relax. You got to loosen up, baby. Do that maneuver that you know about, man. And he's like, it's all in the hips.
We know
it's
all about your nimble fingers. Like,
Yeah,
we know we can do this. Yeah.
And so he talks him through it, and he beats Wesley to it. And the Senor Chang comes in, and he's like, hey,
PF Chang.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. God damn it.
Oh no.
Senor Chang comes in. God damn it. We should clarify that you were allowed to make that joke.
Well, am I? I'm Korean. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, there's additional politics to discuss.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. We're allowed to say it.
I was just thinking about like the South Park PF Chang's episode, so I was just like, oh, Chang.
So Senor Chang is like, hey, you guys have an hour before the final test. But Murdoch finished first. He gets some extra points. And Murdoch, to Murdoch's credit, like he's like, no, Wesley helped me. Like if Wesley hadn't helped me, he would have won because he stopped down to help me. And
but then Chang's like, nah, dude, he also messed up these some other ways. Don't worry about it.
But Chang does go. He made a very interesting choice to help him, which makes me think Starfleet goes, oh, you helped them. We're not about helping.
Yeah. No. It's every man for himself.
We're about personal excellence, not teamwork.
Yeah, like in some other like movie or show, it would have been like, you stopped to help them. And that was the test. You're the only one who stopped and passed.
That's literally the crux of the hero entrance exam in My Hero Academia.
Exactly.
Where like he fails everything except the actual act of saving people.
Yeah.
And then Wesley is actually punished for it.
and then next you have the scene with the admiral and the conclusion of the investigation and Picard. And in this scene, basically Dexter's like, hey, after my whole investigation, I've concluded that everything's fine here. Everything's all fine and dandy. And the admiral's like, okay, that's what I fucking thought. Cool. And Dexter, in a weird twist at the end, he says, hey, Picard, my tour as inspector in the Inspector General's office is up in 6 months. And when I'm finished, he basically is like, this is where I'd love to serve, basically. If they'll have him.
Yeah, it's such a huge 180.
I know. But also at the end, it really, so I hated him in the beginning, but at the end, it did show me like that. I know the questioning was weird, but like, that's kind of how you have to be a detective, I guess. You know what I mean? Like you have to roll that way.
Well, something that I'm picking up on now is that like what he tells the admiral is like, I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't find what you asked for. Yeah. And it's almost as though like I said that he was strangely prejudiced earlier. And it seems almost as though it was the admiral himself who said like, okay, I'm sicking you on this ship with the assumption that something fucky's going on.
Yeah.
And investigate Picard and find some shit on him for me, please.
Yeah.
Even though he kind of thought that it probably wouldn't result in much, but he felt like he had to do it in order to like properly vet the situation.
I fall under that thought process as well. Like he had to like push him that way, so he would go extra hard.
Yeah,
to
so
be like,
basically
prove you
used
right. I'll prove you
Poindexter.
right. Yeah. So Poindexter is like wants to join the crew eventually in 6 months, and the admiral's like, "Hey, sorry, dude." Anyway,
don't worry, it was just
My
a
bad,
prank, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, "Look, I think some shit's going down,
This probably
dude.
went too far.
Some deep shit's going down in the Starfleet, and I think that I don't know if it's from within or from outside forces, but I just had to be very careful with this." And basically says, I want to promote you to admiral, and I want you to start teaching, like go back to Starfleet Academy and start commanding that.
I want you to lead a school for gifted children.
Yeah, basically.
Oh man! Oh, what if he had just said like,
break your legs?
we're gonna bring in Bane, and he's gonna break your back.
we're gonna deflect a bullet with magnetism into your spine.
So the next,
because Star Trek aliens are basically mutants, right? Like,
totally.
Vulcans can mind meld.
Yeah.
Like Klingons are super strong. Like, like they're basically mutants.
Yeah, it wasn't time yet, though. It wasn't time.
Yeah.
And next comes Wesley's last test, which is a psych test. And as he's about to go into this weird room with Senior Chang, exiting is Murdoch. And Murdoch is like, he comes out and he's shaking. And he looks like he's burned. He looks like they waterboarded him and they tortured him.
Yeah, he looks like he wasn't like scared. He looks like they tortured him.
Yeah. And they're like, motherfucker, where the fuck is Bin Laden? And he starts pulling his fucking fingernails and shit.
Oh my God.
It's just like Zero Dark 30.
Oh no.
I know, dude, but I had to go there. And so he comes out and he's fucking traumatized, dude. Murdoch's never going to be the same. And
then like Wesley asks, "Are you okay?" And Murdoch
like,
replies, "I will be.
I will be in like 5 years after therapy."
He'll never be able to employ the Murdoch strategy again.
Never.
The Murdoch maneuver can never.
His little Murdoch's forever destroyed. And so Wesley goes into the room and Senior Chang's like, "Hey, your test is about to start. Good luck." And he bolts out of there. And Wesley's left there for like a good minute and no one's there. And then he hears a huge crash. And he comes out of the room and there's nobody there in the hallways. It's empty. And he follows the yells and the noises. Yeah. And it leads him to this room. And
did you notice, by the way, as he's running through the corridors, like they couldn't get super long corridors like it's supposed to be in a school. Mm-hmm. So they just did like matte paintings.
Yeah.
But they're clearly just paintings.
I know.
It reminds me of like Toontown in Disneyland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're like, oh boy, this room's really small.
I know. They're clearly in like a tiny set, but they have to paint it longer.
And so he opens up the room, and like this nitrogen tank is cracked open, and there's an old dude with like a thing over his legs, and there's there's an old priest and a young priest, and the young priest. Wesley goes in there and pulls this thing. He uses all his might and he pulls his tank off of this old man.
Yeah.
And then the young guy's like crying and dude, so for this being an act, which you later find out, these crew members of Starfleet are really good actors. I wonder if they're actors in this universe.
Yeah, they're acting lieutenants.
Yeah. So he helps and pulls the old man out of the room, and there's a countdown. Like, the thing will seal off in 10 seconds and 20, and so there's a countdown, and he can't help the younger man.
Well, the young guy is like he's
a little too crazed. He's a little
too far. He yells angrily at him. It's like Wesley's like, "No, you can definitely make it through this."
He's like,
"I'm going through it right now, very slowly."
Yeah. With this old guy, you can help me, but you're not. It's fine. Fuck it.
But he yells at him, "No, I can't."
Yeah, I have to keep grabbing this pole.
Yeah. So he saves the old man, and then the test is over, and you find out that's a test.
Yeah.
And it's basically a theoretical test, and the test was basically his fear. The thing they used against him was the fact that like old Picard had to make an ultimate decision that eventually killed his father. And so Wesley had to go through that as well, because that was like his psychological worst fear.
Which is fucked up.
Yeah, this is round 2 of it was just a prank, bro.
This is a fucked up thing,
and that's why you don't teach lessons.
This is a fucked up thing to do to a child, because like they do this and then they go, "That was a test, well done." It's like, no, okay. So just to put it in perspective, there's I think I told you about the YouTube channel Vsauce. So he made a YouTube original show called Mindfield, and they did an episode about the trolley problem. Do you guys know what the trolley problem is?
Yes.
Okay, so just to quickly
For listeners.
go over it. Yeah, for listeners. Basically, a trolley is approaching like a junction in a track, right? If you leave the track alone, it'll run over 5 people.
Right.
But if you switch the track to another the trolley to another track
deliberately,
it'll only deliberately as a choice, it'll only run over 1 person. So would you pull the lever? And the prevailing wisdom is that a lot of people would weigh the decisions and go yes, but how many people would actually do it, right?
Yeah.
So what Vsauce did in Mindfield was he decided to actually run the experiment. But the only way they could do it is that they made them really believe they were going to have someone run over or not. And after it happened, they had to come in, debrief them, like help them understand this was fake, and like basically have a psychologist come in and like talk it through with them and shit like that, right? So this is basically the same thing. They just put Wesley, who's a 15-year-old, by the way, he's not an adult, through a traumatic experience. And basically went, good job. Then they don't really help him out.
And you failed. And you failed.
and you failed.
Here's the thing. You want me to solve your fucking stupid ass trolley problem? You fucking send the transporter in there and he blows up the goddamn trolley.
He kicks it off the track.
Yeah, dude. He's like, fuck your trolley, mate. Poof. No problem now. No one gets killed except the fucking people on the trolley.
Oh yeah, people on the trolley. Oh man, I forgot.
He didn't have to kill them, but
it was just out of pure pleasure. So the test is over, and you find out that Murdoch won, and that's it. He won.
Yeah.
And Murdoch even says like, "Hey, I think we should check this out because like Wesley helped me," and he's like, "Nah, bro, he'll have a chance next year. Don't worry. You're going to
dude. You're the inventor of the Murdoch maneuver.
Yeah.
You're gonna get in no matter what.
Yeah, you're gonna get ass.
You need to get in here and show us this maneuver.
I thought you were already a cadet in the academy.
Yeah. And so this old 4-year-old alien is like, dude, thanks a lot. And then like Wesley's like, dude, you deserve it, dude, because he's a first Murdoch. He's a first Gulag man. To be in the Starfleet. So he's like kind of like Worf, like where he's in uncharted territory. So the Gulag man's like, hey, yeah, cool. I would definitely have helped you too if it was up to me.
Well, it's cool because it directly mirrors what happened at the beginning of the episode where Wesley was like consoling fucking mullet guy,
right?
Yeah.
And this time now Murdoch is consoling Wesley. And like it should have been, and it's like
Murdoch's like, hey, you want to hit on my fucking joint? My vape,
dude. I was high the whole time.
Yeah. Like, I tell people this is oxygen, but it's just weed.
Yeah. It's just a vaporizer going at all times. Yeah.
He's like, that time where I couldn't solve that goobly-gob problem.
I was so high.
I wasn't high at all. That's why I needed your help. But once they kicked back in, I was fucking good.
Yeah.
So anyway, everyone congratulates him, and they're like, hey. And then Oleana, or her name is, he's like, hey, you bitch. You better be ready next year because I'm coming for you, Wesley.
Even though I failed the first test.
Yeah. So everyone leaves, and it's all fine and dandy. And the next thing you see is Captain Picard, and he's got his long shirt on, his dress,
Yeah.
And he bumps into Kirk Sutherland.
It's so
and,
tight. It's so tight on his chest.
Mhm.
It's very...
And basically, he has this moment with Kirk Sutherland where he's like, basically like, it shows him how he is a good captain. Where he's like, hey, don't worry about it. It's fine. You're gonna fix the shuttle.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be your punishment. And like, cool.
I think it's doing two things. It's one, it's like being like, he's a good captain, but also if he wants to influence the next generation, he can do it. The next generation. He can do it
here
while still being captain.
Yeah, while pulling the maneuver, if you know what I mean.
Right. It's like
Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Yeah, like and this is during the portion of the episode where he is trying to mull over the decision of you know the offer he was given of becoming the commandant of
which
Professor Xavier's
think,
School
like,
for Gifted Children.
Exactly. Which makes me think, like, if he hadn't bumped into old Kirk Sutherland, would he have changed his mind and like agreed to it? Or did
who knows? Because it's like a 1-2 punch. Because as soon as he gets done with this guy, he then talks to Wesley and has another moment of like, "Hey, I'm doing pretty good."
Yeah. And Wesley Crusher's like, "Hey, I'm not going to the gentleman's ball or wherever the fuck you're going with that dress. I failed you, man. I failed. I'm not getting into the academy. I'm a fucking failure, dude. I got beat by a guy who was fucking high as shit."
It's a good, like, almost because Picard is often harsh on Wesley, but this is like a good, like, father figure moment he has with him where I pulled this quote as well.
Proves that it's his dad.
I failed, Captain. I didn't get into the academy. I failed you, and I failed the Enterprise.
Ridiculous. Did you do your best?
Yes.
When you test next year, and you will test next year, do you think your performance will improve?
Yes.
Good. The only person you're truly competing against, Wesley, is yourself.
Then you're not disappointed?
Wesley, you have to measure your successes and your failures within. Not by anything that I or anyone else might think. But, if it helps you to know this, I failed the first time, and you may not tell anyone.
You failed?
Yes, but not the second time.
It's funny because it's just like, you're definitely competing against others.
Well,
that was the whole crux of the test.
I mean, like the overall life advice though is broader than that.
Yes, overall life advice for sure.
Yeah, you're zeroing in on a very specific point, but
if it's literally about the test, then you're literally competing.
Yeah, in this particular instance, you are in direct competition with others. However, your performance in a competition against others is still something that you should assess internally.
That's true. That's also true. Yeah.
Wesley, you piece of shit, you failed me. So they walk away in a shareable a shit example of bad ADR. He says, "I have to disappoint an old friend."
Yeah,
let's get out of here. And you could tell they added it.
Yeah. And it's a good line though, because that lets them skip the whole scene.
And they skip the whole scene, and the next thing you see is him saying, "Hey, I appreciate the offer, but I will not. I don't want to break my fucking back. I'm not ringing
or my legs.
Too young. Yeah.
It's not worth becoming paralyzed.
Yeah. I don't want you to break my neck or my back or my legs. Nothing.
Still got a good.
Nobody's touching these babies.
Years left.
Yeah. I still got to go fuck Dr. Crusher. So,
Crusher.
Yeah. So he
smash Crusher.
He lets the admiral leave, and the admiral's like, don't pay attention to that stuff we talked about. Maybe I'm just old and I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, God damn it, you fucking old man. Piece of shit, dude.
I put you through tons of stress for no reason, old friend.
Yeah. And he goes back to the bridge, and Wesley is sitting in Geordi's seat. And the captain gives Wesley some coordinates, and he punches them in.
Is that the first time he drove the ship?
Is that the first time Wesley has helm?
I feel like I don't remember him being at helm before that.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So maybe that's how Picard's also like kind of like make him feel better.
Yeah.
He's like, hey kid, why don't you
that
drive
seems
the ship?"
against
You want to drive the ship,
regulation.
dude?
He's not even a real cadet, and he's at the helm of a
Yeah.
Federation starship. Come on,
Yeah.
Wesley's
that was
still
always
being fucking Wesley.
yeah, that was always a fan like complaint is that like he's driving the ship.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate that, dude. I hate that. I'll jump in because I'm hot with these informations. I enjoyed this episode. I was very surprised. I think this was a high point in the season. Even though it was a Wesley episode, I still enjoyed it. And I can't wait for next year. So he goes back there and he tries to maneuver on that lady, who will be, an adult, and she'll be, robbing the cradle. Because it seemed like she was older than him. Those are my observations. So anyway, I will give it a. I still want somewhere to go, so I'm going to give it a 7.5. 7.5.
Okay. All right. I think it's not much of a coincidence that this is the first episode Gene Roddenberry was not the showrunner.
Okay.
All the episodes before this, Gene Roddenberry had in some way been in charge of the writer's room, and I think it shows because a lot of those episodes are pretty bad.
Would he ever come back, or is he just out of the picture now?
So the story is that Maurice Hurley, who he was like a producer on the show, I think in general. He was realizing that the show's writing was like just tanking, like it was just not doing well under Gene Roddenberry, because Roddenberry was just like dicking around, not really doing anything. So he strongly suggested and personally paid for a holiday for Roddenberry and his wife to go on a vacation.
Just so they could sneakily do way better than anyone ever knew.
So then they had like a quiet gentleman's agreement that he would just run the show while he was gone. And then when Roddenberry came back, he was like, you just keep doing it.
Well, good.
Then the show got better because it's not Roddenberry anymore. I mean, as much as he's cool for starting the series, he's not a great writer, at least for TNG.
He's got rotten berries.
What are you talking about? He had all the details about the length and weight of Ferengi penises.
Yeah. detailed stuff.
And why they use
world
them,
building,
when they use them, where they use them. I would give this episode like 8.5. I think it was really good world building. Probably the best use of Wesley as a character so far. Because
he just gets to be a sounding board for other people to have like cool advice moments and stuff.
And he it's I like coming, like the episode's literally called Coming of Age, and I do literally like coming of age. I do literally like coming of age stories like Bill Dungsrumans. I think they're like good stories to tell, and it makes sense for Wesley to finally get a story where he's like learning life lessons and he's growing up and he has like
took you long enough, buddy.
Yeah, like I thought it was pretty funny that the thing he was worried about most was the psych evaluation, because they're like, oh my god, they're gonna discover.
That reminds me, like earlier in the episode when he first calls it a psych test to Chang like seems to be like really offended for some reason.
Fuck you, dude. Yeah, sure, you could call it a fucking psych test. You bitch.
We prefer to call it a psychological evaluation.
Like his expression like darkens. It's like, what the fuck do you say, bitch?
I want to see like a Itsumo Matambien type movie where like Wesley and Kirk Sutherland go on a road trip, and with like Deanna Troi or something, and like and like they go on this discovery journey. It's a road trip, but they discover this.
It gets really
something about themselves and something about each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. This is just to circle back around to the Starfleet Academy. Like, they have a history of just like, first of all, this doesn't make a lot of sense, this test, because it's like he showed him the fear, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're like, okay, come back next year. How the fuck do you do that test again? That's not possible. Like,
your psychological profile updates, and you have a new fear every year.
But then you're expecting some sort of crazy shit to happen, right? So
we didn't see Oleana or the Vulcans test. Maybe that was their second year, and they didn't have to do it. because
So they just do it once the first time, and after that they're like,
maybe.
Okay. But Starfleet has a history of giving fucked up tests for this, like the Kobayashi Maru test, which is it's famous because it was in Wrath of Khan when you mentioned it, and it's like,
and it's also
it's
in
a test,
the J.J. Abrams in some shape or form as well,
right? But in a completely different. Well, that in that context, it's actually closer to the context of fear in this episode, because in the J.J. Abrams version, it's supposed to be like a test of fear,
or but it's supposed to be like, how do you react when you can't win, right?
Well, that's the original Star Trek Wrath of Khan version, where the Kobayashi Maru
Abrams had the same general premise, but the issue was that Kirk hacked the test so that he could actually win.
No, they hack it in both times.
Oh, okay.
So in both instances he hacks it, because the whole point of the Kobayashi Maru in Wrath of Khan was supposed to be that Kirk is completely like unwilling to lose no matter what, even when presented with a test that's literally about how to handle a losing situation that you cannot possibly win. He literally just cheats to win. He doesn't care. And the whole point of Wrath of Khan is that as he grows older, he has to learn how to contend with things that are out of his control. You know, like he has failing eyesight. That's why he needs glasses, even though, and because he has this condition in the future where he can't just use laser surgery or something to fix his eyes. So he has to wear glasses.
Doctor says he's got a backiotomy.
He's got space myopia.
And that's a theme of Wrath of Khan. Like spoil. I'm not gonna spoil it because
no spoilers, dude.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Well, some people haven't seen Wrath of Khan, and it's a very good movie. But like, there is a big sacrifice made at the end that Kirk has no control over, and he has to learn to accept it.
True.
This is the same metaphor as with the Kobayashi Maru. In the J.J. Abrams version, it's just he has to learn how to deal with fear, which is like a bit more shoehorned. Like, it just seems like they just mentioned a Kobayashi Maru just to be like, hey, remember that thing from Wrath of Khan? We're in this thing too, because that wasn't Kirk's problem in that movie.
It wasn't as thematically like
it wasn't appropriate thematically. Yeah,
but I do think that they tried to at least explain it the same.
Well, they tried to explain it like Spock literally says, "Oh, it was designed to see how people deal with fear," and it's just like, I mean,
it's a fucked up test.
Yeah, basically, this is all just to say, Starfleet Academy has a bunch of fucked up tests that probably creates a bunch of fucked up like officers, and then they put them into service. So I don't know. It's probably not the greatest thing to do. Dan, what did you think about the episode?
As everyone else here did, since you colored it as a Wesley episode, I was like, oh man, I hope it's not actually a Wesley episode. And it kind of was, but wasn't. And so I was pleasantly surprised. I was also impressed by those editing tricks and the writing and the character moments and all that other stuff. So yeah. I'm going to sit in the middle between you guys. I'm giving this an 8.
Okay, cool. Yay! It's a good episode.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. I feel like this might be where the series begins to turn around and starts to get better and better.
The season finale of season 1 is kind of a doozy. It's just a and at this point I don't even remember how it's a doozy except for one particular bit. Like I'm curious to see what I think of it now.
It's weird because we'll get to it when we get to it, but the series finale of this first season implies an overall villain that never ends up happening.
True.
So it's just interesting. But anyway, that was Coming of Age. Next week we're gonna be watching Heart of Glory, which is a Worf-centric episode, just fucking awesome because Worf is fun. It's fun when we see more Klingons and they do bullshit.
Yeah, Klingon bullshit's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, because you just get a bunch of Klingons growling at each other, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
This was an episode of Newbie Star Trek. If you want to see more, you can go to newbiestartrek.com. That's NEWBIE StarTrek.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for Newbie Star Trek. Also, we have another podcast. It is called the Fugitive Frames Film Podcast, and that's a podcast where we choose like a film topic, like horror or video games, or like a director, and then we just list the movies from them that we like the most and discuss them, kind of like we do now. If you like the way we kind of bullshit and talk about tangents and stuff, that podcast is a perfect example of us doing that.
Only that it's not
And you
all
can
about Trek.
No, it's about everything. It's the most varietized of the entertainment podcast.
Would varied be the word for that? I don't know.
Varied. Yes. So you can find that at fugitiveframes.com. And if you like us bullshitting but want to hear it over games, how about
It's
you?
just different flavors of bullshit, man.
Yeah, it's all flavors of bullshit. That's basically our product. It's bullshit. you can
At least you don't pay for it.
Yeah, it's true. You could go over to our YouTube channel, Fugitive Games, which you can also find if you just go to fugitive.games as a URL. And basically, we do Let's Plays. We've been streaming a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we do reviews and discussions. I'm personally trying to work on some video essays, but scheduling is weird. So things are coming, And, I think by this point, we will have just started our Batman The Enemy Within LP, which has been a buttload of fun already with just the first episode.
Yeah.
Because
like the writing in that game is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Like Telltale's take on Batman is definitely from people who are huge fans of Batman and want to do big twists. And it's a lot of fun, the way they decide to interpret it. And also, I guess we could just say it up, whatever, in the podcast. We're going to be playing LA Noire as our next LP after that, which I'm looking forward to a lot. It's been a while since I've stepped into shoes of Cole Phelps and walked around doing detectives. It's basically like 50s detective simulator the game.
Yep.
Like it's very like procedural and very like we gotta do things step by step and find clues.
It's kind of got
bullshit
elements
like
of like the Phoenix Wright games, in that you're collecting evidence and trying to use it against people at the right time, but a little more freeform than that.
Yeah, but you also get to punch and shoot people.
Exactly.
Which
and also watch
yeah.
watch overly elaborate facial animations that don't quite match up with their bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, is he lying? I think he's lying. He's like, and then you just press, and Cole Phelps yells at this poor lady.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not sure I believe that. And then Cole's like, "You did, you fucker!" Just,
You raped him, didn't you?
That's not even the crime you accused me of earlier.
So yeah, you can find that on YouTube, Fugitive Games. But yeah, next episode we're gonna be watching the fucking Klingon episode, Heart of Glory. It's gonna be a lot of fun because Klingons are just gonna do a bunch of shit. Worf will probably yell at the sky at some point.
Yes. Either that or, evaluate the quantity of honor within a thing.
Yes. There will be an evaluation of honor at some point this episode. But in the meantime, this has been Newbie Star Trek. Thanks for listening to us and having a good time with us. I hope you've been having a good time. And we'll see you guys next time. Stay safe. See you
later, guys.
Hooah!
Al Pacino, you're back. Do you want more drugs?
I'm back. I'm looking for that vaporizer from that Gulag Man.